You will be turning in your note checks this week, so definitely have this out for your notes. Okay, so let's talk about extinction, shall we? You are probably all aware of the idea of extinction.
Yeah. Especially the extinction event that's happening right now.
Yeah, so, okay. So the basic idea of what extinction is a species ceases to exist. This is, of course, the classic example, the dodo, a large flightless bird that was native to an island. And some people showed up to the island, and lo and behold, there's a whole bunch of fat, slow, flightless birds. Free poultry. So it was a big buffet. It was
literally hunted them out in like
it was
a few years.
all you can eat dodo meat. All right? I bet it wasn't all too dissimilar from chicken. I should also mention that dodos were in the first Ice Age film. That is not how they went extinct. Okay, they didn't go extinct fighting over a melon with a sloth and a mastodon. Okay. Well, I mean, everything that Ice Age told me.
It is true.
Okay.
Everything to my Ice Age does not lie.
Seems legit, right, Taylor? Seems legit. Okay. So this idea of extinction is when a species goes away. There are no individuals left. You can also, there's something called a functional extinction or a viability extinction, where you end up with, like, I believe last year, the final northern white rhinoceros, the final male, died. Even though there are a few females left of the species is extinct because they can no longer reproduce. A functional extinction is when there are a few individuals left, but they cannot reproduce. Aiden? Sure. Okay?
There's a species of like mountain lion or something that went extinct a few years ago, and apparently there's only one of its kind left, and it's in like a forest in the middle of
Yeah. So we'll talk about different species that are currently going extinct. So a mass extinction versus an average rate extinction. This is something important for you to understand. Okay? Certain species just don't make it, right? Yeah. Because they get outcompeted, or there's a really bad disease that just goes through that one species, right? That is an average rate extinction. It's not a mass extinction.
Is it what's happening right now, mass extinction?
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a second, yeah. So a mass extinction occurs as a result of widespread change.
So yes, it is.
So when a single species goes extinct just because they didn't cut it, this is an average rate, Carl? Yes. Okay? So if we want to look at the difference between an average rate extinction and a mass extinction, I'm going to use a graph because graphs are fun, and I think they're very handy for us to understand how things work. Don't worry, I'm going to come back to the slide. Don't everyone freak out. I know. Unbelievable. Your hysteria. Okay. So if we have a y-axis here and an x-axis here, And as is oftentimes the x-axis is time. And this is the number of species. Number of species. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay? An average rate extinction. So life on Earth just kind of does like this thing where it goes back and forth. You get a little bit more, you get a little bit less. Okay? This, I'm going to change the color here. This is just kind of average rate. Okay? Every once in a while, things just go extinct. A mass extinction is when we go like this. Okay? Over time, the number of species will recover.
Then it'll like Wait,
This
one of my questions
is a mass extinction.
did our species go whenever Trump was elected?
What?
Mass extinction is like
So a mass extinction is when a majority or a large percentage of species go extinct. An average rate extinction is just like one species just going away because something affected only that species.
because of climate change.
So mass extinction means multiple parties. Small is just one.
A mass extinction is when many species go extinct all at the same time because of one change in the environment.
And it's called
So that's the difference between an average rate extinction, which is just kind of these little blips, and then a mass extinction, which is a rapid decrease in the number of species on the planet. All right? So this here is, I believe this is the Tibetan bighorn sheep, is now extinct, this species. Why it went extinct? I could get into that, but if just this species went extinct because there was, let's say there was a disease that went through and killed off most of the individuals and then the rest of them just couldn't make it, that would just be an average rate extinction. A mass extinction would be if these and like the grass and all the birds in the area and all the fish in the lake over here all went extinct at the same time. Okay? Moving on. So there's two categories of factors that can cause extinctions. Biotic factors, which are caused by living things. So for instance, that disease that killed that species of bighorn sheep, that was an example of biotic factors. Okay? A living thing comes in and the species goes extinct because of that living thing infecting it.
Well, I have a question. Would a jellyfish be considered living?
Oh yes.
Because it doesn't have any
Abiotic factors, something like this volcano, or the classic example that everyone thinks of when they think extinction, an asteroid strike. Okay, these are abiotic, meaning non-living factors. Abiotic factors, meaning non-living.
Well, technically, we don't know what's an asteroid.
We do know that, and we'll talk about it later.
Then
And why have we never been told this?
But it's almost certainly right. Eli.
then we're getting shot, the abiotic or biotic.
Like
Kind of caused by the
being
thing.
shot would be if a living thing pulls the trigger, it is an example of biotic factors.
If a table pulls the trigger, then
Okay.
it's abiotic.
Yes. Volcanoes and asteroids are abiotic. Human-caused climate change. Climate change is, in and of itself, a non-living factor, but because it is caused by human behavior, that
It's
is
called applied
That is biotic.
It's called biotic.
Yes. It's in the back. All right. Biotic, abiotic. Pretty clear. All right. Going forward. All right. So why do things die? Why do so many things die? Well, extinctions are generally due to the drastic changes in the environment. Things that live in that environment can't change fast enough, can't adapt fast enough, and therefore they die. So if it is a widespread, drastic change in the environment, it will probably be a mass extinction. If it's just a small environment, so for instance, if there's a big fire caused by lightning in a forest, and this forest is the only home to a certain species of finch, okay? That forest getting burned down, all of it, that finch will have gone extinct. All right? That is an abiotic factor in a just kind of a average rate extinction. But if we have something where an entire continent gets lit on fire because an asteroid comes and hits it, Australia, yeah, sure. Then, and all the things on that continent go extinct, that would be a mass extinction. Okay? You right there? All right. So, mass extinctions versus average rate extinctions, biotic versus abiotic factors. All right. When we discuss these things, then that leads us to a discussion of the history of the Earth. All right. And the history of the Earth is, remember when we talked about eras and epochs and periods, right? These different sections of the history of the Earth divided by certain things. There have been 5 mass extinctions in the history of the Earth. You do not need to specifically know their names, but I would like you to know that there have been 5 of them. Ordovician-Silurian, late Devonian, Permian-Triassic, sometimes people call it the end Permian, Triassic-Jurassic, Cretaceous-Paleogene. So the question is, why are these names hyphenated? Did the Paleogene and Cretaceous get married and decided they were going to hyphenate their last names? That's when it took place, yeah. But why are there 2? Why is it that we would have 2 names here and not just one? If it happened in the Cretaceous, then just call it the Cretaceous. If it happened in the Paleogene, just call it the Paleogene, right? Why are there 2? Yeah. Okay, but remember these are like the Cretaceous was a period of time that was like 100 million years. Okay, the reason why is because, so if we were to look at these 3, let's say that we're looking at the different periods of time, all right? Let's say that we're looking at the Permian Triassic and Triassic Jurassic, okay? So this is the Permian, okay? The Permian, Jurassic, Triassic and Triassic. This is the Triassic, and this is the Jurassic. Okay? So the reason why these extinctions have two names is because the Permian-Triassic extinction happened as the border in between the Permian and Triassic. And the Triassic-Jurassic is the border between the Triassic and Jurassic.
So those happened in the middle of those two times.
Exactly. So these were two mass extinctions. So remember when we were talking about the geologic history of the Earth and how we use the living things on Earth to categorize the history? This is what I was talking about, okay? That geologists can go through the layers of rock, and they can see that there were a whole bunch of fossils of one kind during the Permian. And then they see all these layers of the Permian, and then all of a sudden, those fossils disappear.
So it's Permian, Jurassic, Jurassic.
So there were two mass extinctions here, the Permian-Triassic and the Triassic-Jurassic. And those extinctions happened as the borders of these three periods of time. Okay? So the reason why we have made that border is because of the extinction, right? The reason why we have said the Permian stretches from this point of time to this point is because the fossils on this side of the extinction are very different than the fossils on this side of the extinction. Specifically, that a whole bunch of them disappeared, right? So remember, the strata of rock, the bottom strata are the oldest ones, the top ones are the youngest ones. So as you go up in your strata, you might see a whole bunch of similar, let's say you find a whole bunch of Stegosaurus fossils, right? Stegosaurus, a bunch of Stegosaurus, and then all of a sudden, no more Stegosaurus fossils. They went extinct in a mass extinction. Okay?
I think that's how you say it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So questions on that? On how we use mass extinctions to divide the history of the Earth? Okay. Currently, we are living through the sixth mass extinction. This is called the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene.
No, I think it's called 2020.
The Anthropocene extinction, does anyone know what anthropo means? I would be super impressed. Anthropo, yeah.
Anthropo means to walk on two legs.
It means, yes, it means humans, okay? The Anthropocene, so this is the time of humans, right? Just like anthropology is the study of humans. Anthropocene is the time of humans. We are currently living through the sixth mass extinction. And this is a biotically caused sixth mass extinction. That biotic factor is human activity. All right? So that's just a quick little bit of notes that we're going to take for today. I'm going to leave it at that.